The ANC staff salary debacle continues. Now there are reports suggesting that retrenchments could be on the cards. The party's financial woes were discussed at the NEC meeting recently, but is there any truth to the reports that the party is cutting back on staff, and are salary payments up to date yet? Let's get some answers from the ANC spokesperson, Pule Mabe. Pule, thanks for speaking to us. Appreciate it. Let's first start with whether or not you've managed to pay staff all outstanding salaries as promised, because we've just heard from one staff rep that hasn't happened.
Evening, Shahan, and evening to your viewers. Of course, what we had done, consistent with the commitment that the Treasurer General, Comrade Pule Mabe, would have made to staff, was to make sure that we begin dealing with the backlog or meet certain of your obligations. You also have got to then look at the kind of legal recourse that are there available, provided for within the context of the Labour Relations Act. In the same way that employees enjoy certain rights, employers also enjoy certain rights. Part of those rights include what could be done when you had consulted with your own employees, looking at the kind of resources that you have. Are you going to be able to manage to sustain your operations with the kind of staff complement that you have? Remember, Shan, the issue of salaries, it's quite an emotional matter. People have got to make up for the payments of their bonds, vehicle installments, pay for the school fees for their kids. Now it's January. Yeah. Every employed parent needs to at least have the certainty that, okay, I will be able to support my daughter or son who had just matriculated, or who's going to high school, or who's going to be starting grade R. Yeah. So we really sympathize with the situation that our own staff members find themselves in. Actually, these employees of the ANC are hard-working men and women. We had commended them, even in our own January 8th statement, for putting their best foot forward, even during elections, sometimes going for months without being paid. But we've not been shy to explain to them the challenges we face, Shah.
Okay, you're saying a whole lot of things at once, right? So let's try and stick to what I'm asking you about. There's no one who's hiding and telling us that they haven't been paid, because we spoke to Zimasa Makate, who's an ANC staff worker representative. And she says that some people have been paid their November, December salaries, but some haven't, and that there are still outstanding salaries for January. Is that correct?
Well, correct. There are outstanding salaries for January. That is correct. And that actually there is going to be, we spent a lot of, almost the better part of today in a meeting of our political management committee that brings together all full-time National Executive Committee members and our key members of staff from the SGO, from the TGO, including the general manager, as well as the coordinator of the NEC and NWC, Comrade Andries Nel and Comrade
So why
we have understood.
Why are these staff being made promises? No, I'm trying to get to the question. Why are you making promises to staff? Pule Mabe said by the end of Jan, salaries will be paid, all outstanding salaries. It's the 31st. That hasn't happened.
Well, Shahan, just to assist you, eNCA sells airtime in the form of advertising and all of that. And out of that, it is then able to sustain its own operations. The ANC doesn't sell advertising or does manufacturing. The ANC is a voluntary organization. It depends on donations. Sometimes you make commitment based on what your donors will have promised. But when you promised me 10 Rand, and then when you come, you only come with 5 Rand, I'm not going to take a shamble and say, hey, based on the promise you had made to me last time, I went out and made the following commitments. It is a very unfortunate situation that we are finding ourselves in, because we rely on donations. And it has now become apparent that the monies that we collect through the Political Party Funding Act and our own allocation coming from fiscus through the IEC is not sufficient to be able to allow us to run. Of course, there's going to be engagements with representatives of the staff, the employees in the ANC, to then deal with why we are and the challenges that we face. I'm not saying a lot of things, Shahan, just to correct that. I have got to give context to what we are saying, because if you just say...
But we've been hearing the same story over and over, Pule. And so have your staff, who say that they're fed up because you're lying to them.
Well, I don't think that... Look, why would we go out to lie to those that are in our employ?
Well, why would you go and make a promise when you yourself admit you can't really keep that promise because you're relying on donations?
Well, because if a commitment has been made, we will not know if conditions will change or not. Let me tell you, if the ANC was not a donor-based organization, was manufacturing products out there and then being able to also raise some monies from its own investments, it will be able to carry forward with this. But, Shan, here is one thing. The Political Party Funding Act even imposed a threshold on how much you are able to mobilize or raise out there. Now, when you begin to look at that threshold, you then discover that actually this falls outside what can allow us to run our own operations. Hence, we have said that all organizations that are interested in the sustenance of our democratic order should join the call by the ANC in Parliament to have the Political Party Funding Act reviewed, so that those sections that serve as an impediment towards us being able to raise sufficient resources to do our work could then be reviewed. Some form of flexibility is then created so that the buffer that is put is also increased, including issues of disclosures and all of that. You know, some of the people that... Can I continue with my point?
No, I get what you're saying, because we heard this Political Party Funding Act concern previously, last week already. When you say organizational redesign...
It is not going to go away. Yes.
I know. When you talk about organizational redesign, does that mean you're considering retrenchments?
Well, organizational redesign could also have in it a component of retrenchment through careful consideration of Section 189. Making sure that the manner in which you carry forward that kind of a legally allowed process, you do so taking your staff members with yourselves. Because remember, Shahan, if the eNCA is unable to fulfill its monthly obligations towards you for a considerable period of time, and they do not then explain to you that these are the challenges, they could become liable for negligence. So to avoid being charged with negligence, when you see that you are facing challenges, you must then look at the structure. And we must commend the team led by our general manager. They've already done that work. They've spoken to us as head of units in the organization to understand our staff complement, whether there are redundancies and all of that. So that they then say, when they give a report to the NWC and the NEC, ultimately then say, these are the steps that ought to be taken. We don't have a business of
Pule, but you mentioned that Pule, you mentioned that we have advertising. I have to end this interview now because we have to go to a break. But very quickly, at what stage, how advanced are you when it comes to considering this retrenchment process? Because that's ultimately what you're looking at.
Well, it's a number of options. Of course, this will have to be a decision that is carefully taken and considered by the National Executive Committee, having looked at all possible avenues and what it was able to do over the past few months. And then say, we think that going forward, this is what is best. And those that are in the employ of the ANC need to understand this. The organization is on their side, but the organization needs to be on their side on a footing that also empowers them to be certain about their condition, to know that when I wake up tomorrow, this is what I will eat, this is what I can put in my fridge, this is how I can provide for my family and all of that.
I have to leave it right there,
Pule. Very important in life.
Thank you so much. Please come into studio next time. We can have a longer conversation. National spokesperson for the ANC.
I will. We just sat for long in the meeting.
Okay, I'll see you during the week. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.